Good evening. I've got a little feedback for me. Am I too close? Okay. All right, thanks. First of all, it's great to see so many people here from all over the country. I love to see all these kids. This is a real family occasion here for my daughter Audrey and Lucas for their wedding. And G and I first got to meet Lucas in 2021 in the middle of COVID. And they didn't make us wear masks or anything, so that was a plus. And during those couple of days, I found Lucas to be funny, smart, and traditional. And this was really a good match for Audrey. So I learned also how tightly his family is, how tightly bond their family is. And Saki said a little bit about that last night, and that reminded me a lot of our family. But what really won me over was about a year ago when I got a call from Lucas, and he said, well, first of all, he called me, and I didn't recognize the number, and I thought, well, maybe it was somebody trying to sell me an extended car warranty. And so I ignored it, and then immediately I got a text, and as soon as I saw it's Lucas, I didn't even bother to read the rest. I just called him back. I thought, what's going on down there? And everything was fine. Lucas called to tell me how much he loved Audrey, and that he wanted to marry her. And this doesn't really happen anymore. The world has changed, society's changed, and so this was really a welcome conversation. Where are you guys? Over there. Okay, thanks. Anyway, Lucas, you did something really respectful and authentic that day, and I'll never forget it. But something else that you said really stuck with me. It was, I don't know how you did it, but you raised an amazing daughter. And then you said, I don't know how I ever found her. So first of all, it's great that you guys found each other, and I hope that you keep that feeling in your heart. Last night, your mom talked about how she still has that feeling from when you were born and the joy that you brought. And so all I'll ask you is just to keep this feeling in your heart, whether it's tough times or you're out working by yourself and you just need that support, and she's there, she's in your heart. I want to answer your question, so about, you don't know how we did it, but there's about half the people in this room are probably responsible for what Audrey is today. So first of all, let me start with my mom, Audrey's grandma Conklin. Her picture was over there. Thanks for putting that up. That was fantastic. So my mom passed in 2011, but not before she taught my girls and their cousins a lot about patience, kindness, generosity, and love. Memories of her at home and the many weeks of summers at the beach in Rhode Island will stay with Audrey forever. Her Grandma Reno, who's here tonight. Where are you, Grandma Reno? So she kind of provided a similar generous opportunities for Audrey and Grace, and they were often up in the Berkshires or down in Florida. And when I see Grandma Reno around my girls, I see the love in her eyes, just like my mom's. And you can't overstate generational love like that. You can't give me any credit if you don't give Lois half the credit. Okay? So she was there with the sweat equity. And plenty of support from Phil, by the way, too. And I have a couple more people so they, I'm sure, have plenty of stories to say. You'll hear mine today. But let me do a little bit let me try a lightning round. So these are some of the important things that I think led to Audrey being who she is today. So at about 1 year old, she was grabbing our pizza crusts off our plates with her 3 teeth and gnawing them away. She learned to, did I say Grace? Oh, Audrey, okay. She's back there, okay. She learned to walk and talk on time, and then she entered the I do it myself phase. So this was started at about age 2, and every time we tried to teach her something, she would say, I do it myself.
She's still in that phase.
That's what I wanted to say. It's like she stopped saying it, but she never stopped doing it. All right, so she learned to ride a bike on my lumpy lawn. She'd fall off, get up and get back on. She started throwing a Frisbee at about age 7 or 8 and took it herself to where she ended up as the co-captain on the ultimate Frisbee team at Miss Porter's school. Yep. She wrote illustrated stories since the time she could write. And I still have about a dozen of them. And they're multiple pages, sometimes like 10, 12 pages. And they were great. And mostly, though, about, finding a prince. And it finally came true. So she did that herself. And her grandmarina once took her to Gillette Castle. It's kind of a more modern castle in Connecticut. And while they were there, an employee asked Audrey, said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And Audrey said, I want to be an author and illustrator. So my crime reporter daughter over there, she's still an author and illustrator. She's a great artist and also a great writer, and she also made some pretty good pottery in her time. I watched her teach herself to use a skimboard to Narragansett Bay. This was amazing. I just watched her out there, and for hours she would throw that skimboard and run and jump on it until she finally got it, because her cousins, the boys, could do it, and she did it until she practiced until she could do it. I don't know who taught you to ski. I think it happened up at Marilyn's house up in the Berkshires. But anyway, before I knew it, I turned around and she could ski as fast as me or faster. And she volunteered to be an altar server in middle school and served many a mass at St. Joseph's Church in Meriden. She did that herself. By the way, she was baptized there at First Reconciliation. No sins. No sins were reported. I think we have to make something up, like you got mad at your sister. And of course, First Communion and Confirmation, and here today we celebrate another sacrament, matrimony. So she learned to play basketball pretty well, but her legs didn't grow until after she got out of high school, so that didn't last. And I did get her and Gracie into running. We used to run 5Ks, even in the depths of winter. And Audrey won a couple trophies for her age, Grace won one. And what was amazing was that Audrey just went on to then run half marathons, and it was something I can't even think of. I can't even imagine it. So she did that. She's an empath. I don't know if you noticed that. She has this ability to look at you when you're feeling something and to absorb it and to feel it herself. It's an amazing gift. Since she was about 6 years old. Audrey and Grace both helped when I did coat drives, blanket drives, raise money for local outreach for their aunt, Sister Ann Conklin, and the Sisters of High Street in Middletown, Connecticut. That kind of charity is still part of who she is. We did a lot of car and yard camping while Audrey was a freshman in college. She decided to go backpacking when she was well, actually, we did a lot of car camping before that. And when you were a freshman in college, you decided, I'm going to go backpacking out in the woods with a bunch of kids. And I was like, really? You're going to do that? Let me set you up right. She had a great role model, though. Becca, who's here in her, there you go. Hey, Becca. She was in the wedding party, and Becca was actually a very experienced outdoors person, even by the time they graduated from high school. And if you want to hear a great story about a bear in the woods, you catch Becca tonight. Family helped out a lot. Audrey learned to swim in Mary's pool, my Aunt Mary's pool, my sister. Aunt Eileen has a room for the girls, had it for years, painted for them, and still has an open invitation. Aunt Kathy always kept the girls involved in activities at the beach. Very generous. Uncle Kerry, her godfather, was always at Mass with us. Always so happy to help Audrey out, and he loved Audrey so much. If Audrey can cook, you can thank her mom. If Audrey likes fancy restaurants, you can thank Phil. If Audrey can golf, you can thank Phil. If she tries cooking fancy at home, you can thank Aunt Patty and Uncle Michel, a bona fide French chef who used to cook some amazing home dinners for us back in the day. I made a few, I'm sure he still does. And also, Uncle Joe. For the people in Montana, here's the story. So my brother Kerry hunted in Connecticut, and so he'd get some venison, harvest some venison, and bring it in and freeze it. And I remember one time I picked up the girls. We were starving, and we went over to my sister Mary's house where we always hung out on Fridays. I got there, I said, I'm really hungry, and my brother said, I got some fresh venison over at the house next door. He said, there's some nice thin slices. He says, throw them in a pan, just cook them for like 2-3 minutes. He says, they'll be good. So we go over, I throw it in, throw in a couple steaks, and we cook them up, and I cut them up while they're still hot. And Audrey says, what is it? And I said, it's deer meat. And she looked at me and she said, like Bambi's mom? And I said, yeah, like Bambi's mom. She took a fork, stuck it in the deer meat, chewed it up, and looked at me and said, it's good. True story. If the Lord blesses you with children, and Audrey is good at wrangling them into good behavior, you can thank her Aunt Beth. Aunt Beth had a licensed daycare, still does, and had the girls over there every day. And by the time they were 9, they were employed there. I don't think they got paid, but anyway, Beth did such a good job raising those kids and instilling, such great values and everything. Sometimes I think she raised the kids when we weren't looking. And her Uncle Kevin, who's here tonight, plays guitar and got the whole family singing. And so if Audrey can sing, and I know she can, and I think every one of her cousins can sing, they can hold a note, they can harmonize, but she learned to do that herself. All of Audrey's cousins have been kind to her and have enlisted her in new activities, sports, or just plain fun. But Ryan stands out. Cheers to Ryan. She was a strong and independent role model. I remember she went and visited Audrey, one of her first days at Miss Porter's in boarding school. So this was Audrey's away by herself, and Ryan's up there visiting. And she invited Audrey and Grace and her brothers that were all too young to even know what college was, invited them to Boston University. They were able to stay over there. And then Audrey ended up finishing her college in Boston. And I think she just had this kind of comfort level there because she had been there and all. So that was good. And also she's here now and helping Audrey on this special day. So Audrey called me in September of 2021. She said, I'm in the woods in Grand Teton Forest looking for the Gabby Petito murder scene. She was alone, and she had forded a stream to get out to that place. And I asked her, I said, are you nervous? And she said, yes, a little bit, but I'm okay. And then she said, I feel like all those things we did and that you taught me growing up have... You want to finish the sentence? Led me to this moment. So, anyway, I still think she did it herself. All right, so thank you for asking the question of how I raised this wonderful girl. It wasn't just me, it was half the room, and a lot of it she did herself. So congratulations to both of you.
Next up we have Mr. Field.